Chapter 21. Basil stepped a few yards from his sleeping quarters, only to find that Alden was again waiting for him at the end of the corridor, ever so politely.
Good evening to you once again, Mr. Basil.
He bowed wholeheartedly.
Doesn't this man ever rest?
Basil thought suspiciously.
Good evening to you, Alden,
smiled Basil, watching him immediately turn on the balls of his feet. The two of them silently walked back through the rotunda and the mezzanine, although this time they went along a corridor that twisted beside the rolling black seas.
Watch your step, please.
Alden turned, quietly facing Basil, opening an elaborately carved wooden door. Basil stepped through, finding himself getting lost within the subdued lushness of those wild gardens and pungent night blooms again. Listening to the orchestra of insect life, it had an instant calming effect on him as he peered up into the starry night skies. Following Alden up a stone stairway with steep, uneven steps. And even though the hour was late, he watched Alden still possessing a marvelous bounce in his stride, much to say that Basil was lacking thereof, thanks to his overt exhaustion.
Are you okay, Mr. Basil?
Alden asked courteously, peering down at him.
Thank you, Alden. I'm fine.
Basil nodded, reaching the landing with a slight puff. He glanced at Alden, still managing to be a few paces ahead.
I need what he's having.
They walked onward a little more, down through a dark and intriguing-looking corridor, lit up by brightly burning torchieres, which led to a set of arching wooden doors, bolted at the front.
Nice place this is,
murmured Basil, the crimson hues of flames dancing across his face. Alden knocked on the doors twice, and then bowing graciously to Basil, quietly slipped away, back down the stairs into the darkness. A few moments later, the doors swung open, and there stood Basil's elusive uncle, Sargon.
Ha 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 ha. Welcome, my dear nephew,
smiled Sargon, a smile so radiant it would cast a shadow over the sun. Immediately taken aback, Basil was stumped for words. Sargon stood before him with a bare torso, donning nothing but loose linen trousers that tied up around at the waist with a braid. Basil couldn't believe the enviable taut and contoured physique his uncle entertained, and he truly tried his best to conceal his veneration.
Hello, Uncle,
Basil stammered, grinning wide, trying to look anywhere but Sargon's ripped body.
Welcome to my beloved study,
Sargon said warmly, hinting at the innate tranquil nature that he seemingly possessed. His style was much more relaxed than their previous introduction, and the crystal tumbler of liquor in his hand gave credence to this, shedding a more contemporary flair.
You look fresh, son. Please, be my esteemed guest. Thank you, Uncle.
Basil stepped through the doorway and instantly felt sheepish, as if he had crashed a party, for he quickly glimpsed 8 other men scattered along the Baroque sofas, mingling with one another beside a grand library with thousands of books. As soon as they saw Basil, they immediately stood to their feet and bowed. Basil felt the burn of embarrassment crawl up his face.
God, not again,
he squirmed.
They honor you,
Sargon whispered, his hand gently pressing into his back.
But why, Uncle?
Basil frowned at Sargon, the dark sea over his shoulder. Sargon, ever so polite, stayed silent and simply smiled. Basil was never any good at being the center of attention, and this moment was no exception. However, nothing could prepare him for what he saw next. As Sargon wandered down the entrance stairway toward a cabinet, cluttered with copious amounts of the finest liquor, Basil noticed his back totally covered in tattoos, but they weren't normal tattoos. They were markings of symbols and patterns in some kind of indistinguishable language. Trying to appear unaffected by what he just discovered, Basil quickly turned his head away and anxiously peered down at the chocolate marble floor, and then at the furniture, anywhere other than his uncle's direction.
God, I'm so out of place right now.
He cringed through his teeth. Hearing one of the gentlemen in the back corner clearing his throat, Basil found refuge in their distraction, inconspicuously watching them talk amongst themselves quietly. They were an odd mix, two sharp and very neat-looking men in black suits and cropped hair. Three wore long robes with very long, blonde flowing hair, and two appeared quite average-looking in regular, everyday clothes. And then the last two were brutishly rough around the edges, the type you would most likely find in a dark alley, or worse, prison. Without any warning, they all ceased talking at once, and abruptly stood to their feet in unison. They turned to Basil, bowed once more, and shuffled out of the study, one by one. Basil was stunned.
May I offer you a drink?
Asked Sargon, his head within an Oriental-style armoire, cutting off Basil's probing thoughts.
Wine? Cognac, perhaps? Cognac would be great.
Sputtered Basil.
Ha! Cognac!
Exclaimed Sargon with slight surprise.
Seems my nephew has inherited a sturdy stomach.
Chuckling to himself, Sargon reached for a beautifully crafted crystal bottle and poured 2 shallow snifters. He handed one to Basil.
Henry IV de Dognon.
He glanced at Basil with affection, raising his glass.
To your safe arrival, son. Thank you.
Basil grinned, swelling with pride.
Thank you for everything.
They gently clanked their snifters and sipped the warm liquor simultaneously.
I'm delighted that you managed to find me.
Sargon ushered Basil to a dark velvet canapé beside the shimmering dark sea.
You were expecting me?
Basil raised an eyebrow. Sargon smiled as he took another sip of his cognac. The mystery of his uncle was killing him.
Well, there were a few hairy moments,
added Basil quickly, sitting down opposite him.
That prison was no fun, that's for sure.
Sargon bellowed in a beautiful vibrato.
Indeed, not the ideal place for a charming young man like yourself. That I agree. The prison officers said you were dead.
Basil muttered with a tinge of angst.
The ways of the world can be somewhat mysterious, son.
Sargon furrowed a brow.
And they also called you El Pantera.
Sargon grinned, revealing his jaw of dimples.
They are indeed a funny bunch in there.
Basil sensed his uncle's evasiveness.
They talked about you with such respect, uncle.
He glanced soberly into Sargon's haunting eyes.
Respect is all there is.
Sargon nodded slightly.
If you do not have respect, then what is a man left with? So, what about the nickname?
Basil pressed on.
Just a nickname, son.
Sargon chuckled dismissively. A small silence fell between them as Sargon studied Basil's naive face. Eventually, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees while juggling his snifter within his strong fingers. The flames of a large oil burner on the table crackled, tinging an amber hue onto his groomed, bearded chin. He gazed at Basil endearingly, restraining his obvious tumbling emotion.
Son,
He heavily sighed.
I have been waiting forever for this day, waiting to see you, embrace you, to tell you about you and your family.
The anxiety slowly rose within Basil's body as Sargon's unwavering gaze looked onto his.
I have not spoken to your father for many, many years, not since you were but a young boy.
Sargon continued, peering down at his cognac.
He lost his way, became wayward, falling into a dark hole and shutting everyone out, shutting life itself out. He was a strong yet very stubborn man.
Basil's gaze dropped nonchalantly onto the ornate table separating the two of them. Dark thoughts began to feverishly sting his heart as he watched the wick of the burner.
And I too lost contact with your mother, Helena, when you were but a baby,
added Sargon regretfully.
She left your father and went back to Spain. She is living a quiet life in the north, remote coastal village called Gijon. My mother?
Basil gasped, peering up at Sargon.
Helena? Her name is Helena?
Sargon nodded slowly.
Such a beautiful name.
Basil gasped, transfixed, staining his lips with her vague memory.
Such a beautiful woman. Your father has no idea about her, and unfortunately does not seem to care.
Sargon shook his head with disdain. Another long silence was shared between them, stifled with sadness, until Sargon took a sip of his cognac.
Stand up and show me your back,
he ordered bluntly, catching Basil totally off guard.
What?
Spluttered Basil, shocked. Sargon, with a face now harder than stone, glared defiantly at the navy tunic Basil was wearing. He shot Basil a piercing glance.
Take it off. How in the world does Uncle Sargon know about my back?
Basil cried desperately inside his head. He glanced at his uncle with pleading eyes.
But Uncle, take it off.
Sargon continued to stare, waiting for Basil to heed his instruction. Finally giving in, Basil wiped his clammy palms on his trousers and stood to his feet, beginning to awkwardly untie his linen tunic. The furtive medallion immediately came into view, swiftly capturing Sargon's attention. It softly glistened through the precarious light of the assorted pillar lamps scattered throughout the study. And Basil, at this moment, had never felt more vulnerable. Sighing, he turned around, giving Sargon a glimpse of his wretched history, eclipsed with an unforgivable amount of pain and suffering. The ugly scars were etched deep, riddled over the full length of his back. Yet these scars were not nearly as deep as those that cut through the core of his tormented heart. As he absorbed the monstrosities, Sargon felt something die within him as he traced over every scar upon Basil's back. He dropped his head down, closing his eyes, running his index finger over his mouth and down through his curled beard.
Please, sit back down, son.
Straight away, Basil turned around and sat down, minus the tunic.
I am so sorry.
Sargon murmured in a hushed voice, his dark eyes afflicted.
It's okay, Uncle.
Suddenly, the mysterious medallion around Basil's neck began to emit a dull glow, pulsating in perfect unison with Basil's breathing.
Oh,
he cried.
it's happening again!
Sargon, remaining silent, watched it with a low gaze, studying it intensely as he slowly sipped his cognac. Eventually, he returned his attention to Basil.
The pain and sorrow endured throughout lifetimes defines the heart of man.
He spoke quietly, tucking his rolls of wavy hair behind his ear.
Every moment in our lives, each person we cross, every tear we shed, every sight we see, adds another thread of silk to the grand tapestry. And the more strands we add, the more beautiful the tapestry becomes.
He sat back on his chair, animating with his hands.
A creation of majesty, rich with color and contour, clarity and splendor.
The deeper
We explore ourselves, the more multifaceted we become, the richer our hearts love. And love
Sargon paused, eyeing Basil.
undoubtedly conquers all. Your scars reveal your story and your evolution. It is your history and yours alone.
Sargon's words marinated within Basil's mind, yet the memory of his father was like a looming ghost, never too far away from him.
Why did he hate me so much?
Basil muttered under his breath, glancing past Sargon's shoulder, lost within his own melancholy.
It was not you he hated.
Sargon interrupted quickly.
It was himself. He hated what he had become. I said that he lost his way, and he did, forgetting his origin and trying in vain to bury his past. And you reflected everything he desperately wanted to avoid. You were the light.
An ugly lump reared in Basil's throat.
I tried so hard.
He whispered delicately, his tears beginning to salt his pained eyes.
To make it work, to be a good son. Oh, dear nephew.
Sargon sympathized, staring into Basil's beset face.
Let it be known that you are no ordinary young man.
Basil glanced up from his laments and gazed at his uncle.
Whatever do you mean?
He asked, wiping his reddened eyes.
You know what I mean.
Sargon glanced down at the medallion.
Oh, I wish I did.
Basil protested innocently. Sargon took another sip of his cognac and pointed at the medallion.
You undoubtedly believe it is a mere accident that you are wearing that necklace?
Basil immediately looked down at his chest.
Well, dear nephew,
Sargon muttered lowly.
You cannot tell me that nothing abnormal has not happened to you.
His gaze drew toward the dark ocean horizon, and Basil gasped at his uncle's prophetic wisdom.
Yes,
Basil sighed admittedly.
I'll agree. There has been a few abnormal things happen. I live in Maud's grandfather's study, and one freezing night, a terrible storm came over the East Docks.
He paused, reliving it all over again.
Oh, the storm was harrowing. My front door burst open, and I saw a black shadow hovering toward it.
Sargon, returning his attention to Basil, rested a leg over his knee, balancing his drink on his thigh, listening intently.
Do go on,
he quietly encouraged.
And then another night, books fell from the library shelves when I was having a bath. I ran over and noticed some nails from the floor planks had come out, so I lifted the planks and found a trapdoor. I opened it and found some stairs, and so I walked down inside.
He glanced down at his chest and touched the medallion.
And that's where I found this.
Sighing, Basil peered out toward the dark rolling ocean.
So serene and calming,
he thought to himself, just as the paralyzing recollection of that ravishing woman slowly bled through his mind once more. He closed his eyes, feeling his heart melt down the side of his leg and onto the floor, like it did every time he remembered her. And it didn't go unnoticed. Sargon duly observed the passionate force sweeping through Basil's body, and a gratified smile creased along his lips.
On the ship, coming over.
Basil opened his eyes, still watching the dark ocean.
In the midst of another brutal storm, somewhere far south of Ceylon, I needed fresh air. Maud was throwing up all over the place, so I went out onto the deck.
He turned his attention to the edge of a Persian silk rug underneath his feet, unable to give Sargon eye contact, as he relived every fine detail of the seraphic encounter.
Rain hit my face like splintering nails.
He inhaled deeply.
But I kept walking until I got to the back deck.
He stopped and looked up at his uncle soberly.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous, Uncle, but this incredible woman appeared in front of me, out of nowhere. A beauty I've never witnessed ever before. She slowly floated towards me.
He stammered incredulously.
I could barely breathe, Uncle. I couldn't even stand on my feet. And then she kissed me.
He exhaled with despair, flopping back onto the canapé,
evoking a love within me that I can't ever shake or let go of. And that's all I remember. More family passed out the next morning, with the hot sun burning my eyes.
Sargon's face was difficult to read. He simply sat there, slowly breathing, glancing back at Basil.
God, he must think I'm a lunatic.
The sounds of the high night winds outside the study suddenly seemed louder, as Basil sat there in silence, waiting for Sargon to digest his outlandish tales.
What do you know of life, son?
He finally spoke, calmly observing Basil. It wasn't the response Basil was expecting, and it threw him.
What do I know of life?
He stammered.
Well, I know that we need to eat and drink to live. We need to breathe.
He chuckled nervously.
And that we all die someday. Do we?
Questioned Sargon quietly, his voice dropping to a murmur. Basil frowned at his uncle.
Well, I think life is not what you believe it to be.
Sargon interrupted, stretching his legs out in front of him.
You are not what you believe yourself to be. And I am not what you believe me to be.
Basil was floored, unable to move an inch as he tried to fathom his uncle's words.
The lightning that hit you, do you really surmise that a normal human could withstand such a force of nature? How was it even possible that you know about that?
Basil gasped, astonished. Sargon sighed quietly.
Like I said, I am not what you think I am. I thought I was dead, Uncle. Really. And I thought the woman was an angel. A part of you did die, but another part was reborn,
said Sargon.
A calibration was happening at that moment. An initiation of sorts. Initiation?
Basil frowned, screwing up his face.
For what? And the beauty you speak of, the woman that kissed you.
Sargon eyed Basil.
Her name is Ira.
Basil's jaw dropped.
You know her?
He sputtered incredulously, leaning towards his uncle, his eyes wider than the horizon.
She is my kind.
Sargon nodded gently.
And she is your kind also. For we are of the same people, my nephew, yet our people are not native to planet Earth. Not from Earth?
Basil cried.
Not from Earth.
Sargon nodded.
I knew she was too beautiful to be from Earth.
Basil closed his eyes, shaking his head.
But what do you mean I'm not, or we're not, from Earth? Many star people are mistaken for angels,
murmured Sargon.
Star people, Uncle?
Scoffed Basil. Sargon nodded slowly.
Star people.
With Basil's mouth agape, he leaned back on the canopy, staring in bewilderment at his Uncle Sargon.
So, if she's not from Earth,
Basil wondered anxiously,
then where is she from? And where are you from? You, myself, and Ira originate from Myora, a majestically beautiful planet, much like this Earth. You mean I'm an alien?
Stammered Basil, as if the words were too ridiculous to say aloud.
Not quite, son.
Sargon snickered at Basil's innocence. One couldn't blame Basil for his obvious skepticism. He really wanted to believe his Uncle Sargon. He really wanted to accept the words he spoke, but he just couldn't.
So, what am I then? You are a young man born upon Earth, with blood from the stars. Extraterrestrial would be more fitting for you.
Sargon answered.
Being alien means being created by different laws of physics that govern the universe. And from our point in the universe, mankind, all of mankind, here and beyond, is governed by the same laws of physics. I thought spacemen from the stars were all just some kind of fantasy,
muttered Basil, raising his amused eyebrows.
Well now, the fantasies have to start from something, do they not?
Smirked Sargon. Basil was bursting with a million crazy thoughts as he studied his uncle's tanned, mystifying face. His eyes so dark, so endless, and there was a scar that Basil noticed that swiped across the bridge of his nose to just under his left eye socket. Just what life did Sargon come from? What life has he had? Basil was desperately searching for reason, and Sargon knew that he was having a hard time.
I will tell you a secret to ease your sudden shock, my nephew.
Sargon watched him affectionately.
No one is native to this beautiful planet Earth. We all originate from the stars. Many trees, fruits, and animals were brought here millions of years ago. Some humans, too, come from many different locations throughout the cosmos. And even though the most radiant Ira is indeed a woman, she is not a woman of planet Earth. She is a woman of Myora. Whereas you and I, well, we are blended. Blended? Yes, nephew. We have mixed blood of both Earth and Myora.
At that very moment, Basil drowned the rest of his cognac into his stomach, hoping it would give his mind some much-needed numbing. Sargon smiled at Basil's impulsive reaction, and he pulled the cork from the bottle and poured him another drink.
It will get easier. This, I promise you.
Sargon twisted the cork in his fingers, gazing at Basil.
Can you tell me more about Ira, Uncle?
Hoped Basil with wild curiosity. Sargon replaced the cork in the bottle and leaned forward, glancing deeply within Basil's innocent eyes as the flames from the oil burner danced within his blackened pupils.
Alua Ira, Boginaha Mulora, Lahanemanmur, Ayarlo Varaha, Atoneta E.
The foreign words slowly rolled from Sargon's lips, immediately pricked the soft layers of Basil's heart, draining all the doubt he'd been harboring about his uncle's stark revelations.
I feel like I know those words.
he whispered, glaring at Sargon transfixed.
You do,
Nodded Sargon.
The words roughly translate to, Ira is the kindred soul, traversing beside you throughout eternity, and she will come for you. When, uncle? That I cannot tell you.
Basil slumped back into the cushions again and sighed heavily.
Do you know why you have that necklace?
Surmised Sargon. Basil shook his head.
No, uncle. You are the keeper. The reason why Maud's late grandfather died a terrible death of suffocation is because the medallion is programmed to a unique frequency that only the keeper resonates with. Anyone else touching it, and it will damage the chromosomes within the strands of their cells. A curse, you would call it in your modern-day terms. The medallion honors only the life of its keeper, and Professor Clarence was not it, but he served his purpose. He brought the medallion back to England from Egypt.
Basil was stupefied. He had only introduced his uncle Sargon to Maud earlier that evening, and here he was, telling him of how Maud's grandfather, Professor Clarence O'Mittenthorpe, had died.
How do you know all of this, Uncle? Uncle Sargon, how?
He demanded.
Ask me my age, son.
Sargon interjected calmly.
Okay. So, how old are you?
Sargon ran his hand through his dark wavy hair until he glanced soberly into Basil's face.
I am over 4,000 Earth years old. No way!
Stammered Basil, aghast. He gripped the side of the canopy with his clenched hand.
Impossible. I think I'm drunk.
Basil thought to himself. He was sure he misunderstood his uncle's words. He rubbed the palm of his hand into his face. He was dead tired.
Not at all impossible, when one understands molecular regeneration.
Murmured Sargon assuredly, observing Basil's reaction.
And no, my nephew, you are not drunk.
Basil's face shut up with alarm.
You can read my thoughts too?
He retorted, horrified.
Yes, and a lot more than just that.
Basil sat his snifter on the table in front of him and dropped his face into his sweating hands.
I'm desperately trying to understand you, Uncle.
He glanced up, exasperated.
But all of this seems so unreal. It's unbelievable.
Sargon was undeterred.
I will explain more in good time.
He nodded.
This all may sound ridiculously absurd to you, but I assure you it is the absolute truth. For example,
He offered.
the reason I do not age like Earthmen is simply because of my Majoran genes. My cells are self-regenerating. Truly?
Asked Basil, intensely crimpling his forehead.
Truly. Men of Earth have spent many an epoch blessed with ripe age spans. The Majoran civilization is a highly evolved one. The planet itself is located within the Hyades star cluster, and thanks to the biotechnological feat of our ancestors, the Majoran people have physical bodies that rejuvenate and thus never age. And that's why you've managed to live many thousands of years on Earth.
Sargon paused for a moment.
Well, yes and no.
He explained.
As beautiful a jewel as the Earth is, Earth has a harsh atmosphere, volatile and unstable, and every Majoran that visits knows that self-regeneration will wane if one does not follow the disciplines of the Atah. In order to maintain the regenerative threshold, the Atah is essential to sustain long years of age if we are to live our time on Earth, or any other foreign planet similar to Earth.
Basil was fascinated.
So, What about my father then?
He pressed anxiously.
How are the two of you logically brothers?
Sargon smiled at his inquisitive questioning.
Like me. Your father shares the same blood, but we have different mothers, and he's much older than you think. However, as I said earlier, he lost his way.
Sargon's gaze became glassy as he reflected sadly.
Your father was a man of valor and strength, generally a good man. He was rigorous with the Atah, but then he met Sharon, a beautiful woman of earth. He fell deeply in love with her and neglected his Atah practice that so delicately protected his life and identity. He married Sharon just before she was due to give birth to their first child, when tragedy struck.
Basil, unable to move, listened attentively. He watched his uncle sigh heavily, the obvious strains of sorrow that marked his face.
One night,
Sargon began, glancing at the burning flames.
whilst your father and Sharon were sleeping, a dark shadow entered the house. The dark shadow roused your father, yet kept Sharon in a deep, unbreakable sleep. As soon as your father came to, he panicked. The dark shadow morphed into an entity from the zone. The zone? What's the zone, Uncle?
Sargon's eyes appeared blacker.
A ghastly race of self-serving, self-fulfilling, artificial beings traversing through universes with great strength and unadulterated technological capabilities. They are a very old race and extremely advanced. The Zorn entity rendered your father helpless.
Sargon murmured, his voice but a whisper. He sat for a moment, continuing to watch the flames, breathing silently as he processed his thoughts. The silence was killing Basil.
And then what, Uncle?
He questioned eagerly.
The objective of this Zorn entity was to snatch the soul of the baby within Sharon's womb.
Sargon sighed.
In the most heinous and crude way imaginable, the entity had Sharon prematurely give birth while still induced in a deep sleep. Your distraught father watched on powerlessly as his newborn baby, your brother, had his soul sucked from his body, all the whilst watching his beloved new wife bleed to death through this vulgar birthing process. And all of this was accomplished by the sheer mental prowess of the entity. Oh, God.
Basil dropped his face into his hands. One could hear a pin drop within the dimly lit study. Sargon's face spoke a million sorrows at that very moment, and Basil, stunned by the dark revelations, had a newfound empathy for his father, one that he never thought even remotely possible.
Your father has never gotten over it,
Sargon whispered pensively, shifting his attention toward the dark seas.
He had such rage and hatred eclipsing his heart that he could not bear to even look at himself. Several times he tried to end his life, but the strength of his Majoran blood hindered his efforts. We never had mirrors in the house,
muttered Basil, remembering back. Things were making more and more sense.
Had he continued with the disciplines of the Atah,
Sargon theorized,
he would have been able to shield his new family from that wretched darkness, a darkness that looms in the shadows forevermore, a darkness ever present, and yet people of Earth are absolutely oblivious to it. They are more vulnerable than they know, and for us that do know, we need to be ever so diligent. The Zorn are a constant threat throughout the cosmos.
Sargon pulled a drawer out from under the table and held an old picture in his hand.
Your father then met your delightful mother, Helena, also an Earth woman.
He passed the picture of an attractive woman with beautiful black hair, Her almond-shaped olivine-colored eyes invoked a tender memory.
My mother.
Whispered Basil, his heart throbbing within his chest as he ran a finger over the picture, tracing her delicate facial outline. How he yearned to touch her again, if only for a fleeting moment.
Her eyes always seemed so much greener when I knew her. Your father never gave her the chance to get to know him, the real Gregor Duclain.
Sargon slowly shook his head in despair.
She tried relentlessly to give him a happy life, yet she remained totally unaware of his tragic past. And being around an unhappy man, she too became an unhappy woman. After a short time of being together, she fell pregnant with you and gave you life. You were her indisputable pride and joy, whilst your father distracted himself with his publican business, and also began a dirty habit with milk of the puppy for his persistent migraines. You mean opium?
Sargon nodded.
He would come home drunk and drugged, beating her, and you were but only a small boy.
Basil put his head down, saddened to hear his mother shared the same fate as he.
She constantly threatened to take you away from him, and he promised he would kill her if she dared try it. And one Saturday morning, she casually informed him she was going to the local high street, and she simply vanished, never to return.
The pain flowed from Basil's swollen eyes, feeling as his heart trembled. For a lifetime, he had buried his inconsolable sadness within the deepest recesses of himself, locking it away and hoping to never deal with it again. Sargon was now changing all of this.
Nephew, your father is now more Earthman than man of my aura.
Sargon said matter-of-factly.
He now ages like a typical Earth human. The elders of my aura are stricken and regret the subsequent fate of his. Life is so cruel,
Basil muttered under his breath, wiping his pitiful tears.
Yes, it can be, son.
Sargon agreed.
But every choice you make is ultimately your own. You create your fate.
He stared deeply into Basil's wet eyes.
If only you knew. Knew what?
Sniffed Basil.
Just how blessed you are. You have no idea who you really are. Who I really am?
Basil stammered awkwardly, trying to appreciate his uncle's words.
Who you really are.
Sargon slowly nodded.
Here on planet Earth, most people believe that they are the superior intelligence within creation. That God is a man in the clouds, ready to strike them down should they sin. This idea they have is absurd, prosaic at best, and very amusing to the lords of the stars. What people of Earth fail to recognize or feel is the amalgamation of life, throbbing throughout the deepest folds of space.
Sargon purported, sweeping his arm toward the starry horizon through the windows.
Infinite amounts of life, son. Infinite. Well, I have to admit, I'm still finding it all rather hard to fathom.
Basil rubbed his chin.
I will indeed inform you,
insisted Sargon.
Had it not been for the medallion in your study, that stormy night, that dark-shadowed entity would have sucked the very life force out of you too, just like your unfortunate brother. Even worse, the repercussions of it would have been catastrophic for us all. A catastrophe here on Earth, and a catastrophe out there.
He pointed to the glistening twilight. Basil felt his veins pulsing against his temples.
Surely that dark entity was not the same one my father witnessed?
He thought worriedly.
Yes, it undoubtedly was a Zorn entity.
murmured Sargon frankly, confirming Basil's suspicions.
Indeed, it was searching for you. It sensed the high vibrational frequency your precious blood cells emit. Thankfully, the orb you've been seeing floating about your study blurred your frequency, confusing the Zorn entity of your exact whereabouts. Despite being within a breath of your exact location, it could neither feel or see you.
Oh, I didn't see the orb that night.
Oh, but it was there, that I assure you.
Sargon leaned over the perilous flames and placed his hand on Basil's knee.
You have no idea how much danger you were in that night.
He whispered gravely, glaring deep into Basil's weary eyes. Fear struck Basil's heart like an axe, and his mouth turned to sawdust.
I called out to it,
He stammered, glancing down at the table, reliving the memory.
but it didn't turn around. It just kept going.
They don't hear,
Sargon answered, lowering his gaze.
at least not audibly. They hear chromosomal waveforms, wave patterns of genetic information, and the like.
So, the orb protected me?
Basil wondered.
What is it?
We'll talk about that another time.
Sargon answered.
And what about the whole precious blood thing, Uncle? What do you mean by that?
Forgive me for inviting angst into your heart,
Sargon murmured.
but you must know what you are in for, son. You are a young man, fresh with strong will, and you must learn the truth.
Basil's mind was racing.
So that means, if they were looking for me back then,
He surmised carefully.
then they must be still looking for me now.
Yes,
Gasped Sargon, closing his eyes. Basil glared at his uncle, his heart wild with fluttering fear.
I'm scared.
Basil whispered, feeling more vulnerable than ever.
you should be.
Replied Sargon grimly.
The Zorn are a force. Those who go up against them must know and must be ready.
Basil rubbed the medallion within his nervous fingers, his eyes dancing within the orb and flames of the oil burner. Sargon watched him, waiting, giving him the time he needed to absorb all that they had shared. Basil peered down at his chest.
And here I am thinking this medallion was just some antique.
He muttered, breaking the silence.
An heirloom beyond reckoning.
Sargon gently smiled.
So, tell me more about this precious blood thing, Uncle.
Basil glanced at Sargon.
I mean, what's so special about it?
Running a finger around the rim of his drink, Sargon returned Basil's glance.
Wayabha, one of our great ancestors of Mayora, is from a race known as the Arisians.
He began.
The Arisians are universe creators, the gardeners, so to speak, of the original race of man. They are one of the oldest races documented in cosmic history, and even though they put man into the universe, they themselves are not even from this universe.
So, where are they from?
Wondered Basil.
They originate from Isalon.
Sargon glanced at Basil fondly.
In the English language, it means divine realm.
It was obvious that Sargon was very passionate when talking about such things.
Isalon is a large spiral galaxy in another universe, and only the most refined civilizations are permitted to live within the realm of Isalon.
Refined?
Civilizations of the highest evolution.
Sargon stated.
Isalon has a twin galaxy called Vornuz, and at the center of Vornuz, according to Wayabha, is the entrance of the Beliaham universe, the most radiant one's universe.
The most radiant one's universe?
Basil sputtered.
God.
Sargon smiled.
God's universe. But in our language, we call God Va.
I didn't even know God or Va existed, let alone a God universe. Is it where God lives?
Seemingly so.
Sargon inhaled deeply, slightly amused. He paused for a moment.
God does exist, but not in the way that it is depicted. God does exist, but not in the way that it is depicted in Earth's religious doctrines and texts. The Balaam universe is the source of where it all began, where existence was created.
And what else do you know about it?
Basil asked eagerly.
We know nothing.
Sargon shrugged easily.
We do not even know where it is. There is only one who knows, that I'm aware of. High Lord Zarvan.
High Lord Zarvan? Who is that?
Basil quizzed.
And have you ever been to Azelon?
I will address more regarding High Lord Zarvan in a moment.
Sargon grinned, appreciating Basil's enthusiasm.
But it would take many, many lifetimes of deep space travel to arrive at even the fringes of Azelon.
He assured.
It is billions of light years away from anything within the deep vastness of space. The distance alone is a feat, yes, but the biggest obstacle is locating Azelon, for it is shielded with an invisible barrier. Even for the most experienced interstellar traveler, Azelon is unfortunately scratched from their travel itinerary. Those who are not invited into Azelon cannot even breach even the outer edges of the realm. It is impossible, a word I choose to use very carefully.
So, even the Zorn cannot penetrate the barrier?
Even the Zorn,
Nodded Sargon.
Wow.
Basil gasped.
However,
Sargon mentioned quickly.
if on the extremely rare occasion one is invited into Azelon, they are given specific magnetic coordinates for a special stargate known as Thalarandor. Thalarandor is the only stargate into the Azelon realm. Many space explorers have gone to draconian lengths to find Thalarandor, and naturally without success.
Have you even seen it?
Asked Basil curiously. Sargon shook his head.
Never. When I say an invite is rare, I mean rare. Not a soul from our planet has been to Thalarandor, nor Azelon for that matter. Of course, except Wayabha, and he is no longer existing upon my aura. We have only the old records he imparted to us to satiate our fervent curiosity. Thalarandor is given the affectionate name of Pulsing Heart because, according to legend, it is a special star that pulses within a pink nebula. A rarity in itself.
Basil felt his mind expanding into unknown, parlous depths. This was far beyond anything he could summon within his own imagination.
And so the Arisians dwell within Azelon.
Sargon continued, leaning back on the sofa.
They possess powers and a knowledge not even the elders of my aura can comprehend. And despite all of this, all that I have shared with you, there is a grave secret.
A secret?
Whispered Basil anxiously.
What kind of a secret, Uncle?
Sargon silently stood to his feet and slowly walked toward the floor-length glass window, exposing his muscularly tattooed back for Basil's inquisitive consumption.
There is a special bloodline that exists within a handful of civilizations within this universe.
He said, gazing far into the dark stretch of cosmic twilight.
The reason it is special is because the Arisians put their own genetic information into this bloodline. And every now and then,
Uncle Sargon turned, sharply glancing at Basil.
this very precious genetic information sporadically appears within the blood of these civilizations, the Maoran civilization included. And as far as we know, these civilizations are the only ones that have the Arisian bloodline.
Basil watched as Sargon sat back down across from him.
This Arisian blood is likened to that of a key to unlocking incomprehensible wisdom and power beyond anything we know of, even now. Unless you have the Arisian blood, no one can access this extraordinary knowledge, no matter how evolved one may become. And thus, those rare souls who have this Arisian bloodline are far in front of the rest of us. They already possess unsurmountable knowledge and power within them, throbbing through their veins.
Sargon paused and stared at Basil with a vacuous look.
And you, dear nephew, have this Arisian blood.
He spoke quietly, swallowing the rest of his cognac quickly. His concern was starkly obvious. Basil's jaw hit the ground.
Wait a minute. What? I have this Arisian blood?
Basil scoffed. His uncle nodded.
You too?
No, I don't.
Sargon shook his head with pursed lips.
So, how do you know I have it?
Basil questioned eagerly, feeling his body packing up.
The elders of Maora have known for thousands of years.
Sargon clasped his hands in front of him.
It was prophetic wisdom that a Maoran soul, born upon planet Earth, would have the Arisian bloodline. The Maoran civilization has been anticipating your coming.
He insisted, his dark eyes burning into Basil's.
And to confirm this, late one night many years ago, I was blessed with the presence of Ortu, a Maoran elder whom appeared here at my home. He showed me your beloved face and told me not only were you the Arisian bloodline, but you were also the keeper of the Erunasis Medallion.
Erunasis Medallion?
Muttered Basil curiously. Sargon pointed a finger at Basil's chest.
The Erunasis Medallion was owned by the beautiful Lazarana, an Arisian female guardian who held high position upon the Order of the Izei, the Galactic Council of Isolon, a cosmic committee of sorts. As legend has it, Lazarana visited Maora on behalf of the Order thousands of years ago to visit a special young girl that had the Arisian bloodline of the High Lord Zavan. And Zavan, Grand Lord of the Stars, is the High Lord of the Order of the Izei and Keeper of Dailarandor.
Oh, I wish I knew what he looked like.
Basil sighed.
Unlike anything you could imagine.
Sargon stated.
Lord Zavan, a being so powerful that he alone can wipe out entire galaxies with a blink of an eye. And it is he who knows where the Baleahim universe is, and he alone.
I'm speechless.
Gasped Basil, his pupils fixed on Sargon.
We all are, at the mere utterance of our beatific Lord Zavan. Needless to say, Lazarana gave this little girl the Erunasis Medallion on behalf of Lord Zavan, which had already been passed down for millions and millions of years. That small opaque white stone within the center is Terzalgamite.
Basil peered down at the medallion.
You will not find it anywhere on planet Earth.
Sargon continued.
It is native only to Isolon. It holds within it the magnetic coordinates of Thalirandor.
The Stargate into the Isolon realm,
Whispered Basil.
Precisely.
Sargon softly murmured. Basil sat back on the velvet canopy, paralyzed, soaked within a million thoughts. He glanced down at the Erunasis Medallion on his bare chest, rubbing his fingers softly over the terzalgamite gem.
This, then, could quite possibly be the most valuable necklace on Earth.
He said quietly, feeling totally undeserving.
Of course, it is indeed much more than that.
Sargon muttered quickly.
Without question, it is the most valuable necklace in this universe.
Basil stared into the medallion, his eyes running around the spiraling script.
I feel so unworthy.
He blurted out.
Do not ever say such things.
Sargon scolded him.
Uncle, I just don't understand why it's me.
Basil pleaded with him.
I don't feel superhuman or anything. I don't even feel any different to anyone else.
You don't because you are not yet strong enough to.
Sargon replied.
I assure you, this will change.
Suddenly, Basil fell into fits of laughter.
I mean, this is just unbelievable.
He chuckled, throwing his head into his hands.
I mean, one minute I'm on a boat to visit an uncle I've never met, and the next I'm being told I have this special blood and that I'm not all human. God!
Yes, son.
Answered Sargon empathetically.
I realize this is difficult.
Basil heaved a fraught sigh and threw his head back, glancing at the domed ceiling. He gazed at it helplessly, plummeting into depths of his own crazy thoughts.
So, if I may continue, the story about the Majoran girl?
Sargon pulled the cork of the cognac bottle and refilled their snifters. Basil hastily sat up in his chair and gave his uncle his undivided attention.
Yes, please do, Uncle.
Well, naturally, she grew into a beautiful Majoran woman, who now lives over an age of 11,000 years. At one time in her life, she even lived upon the planet Mars in its golden age, and then just before its decline, she arrived on planet Earth and settled in the area you know as Egypt. Humans of Earth know her as the great Queen Nefertiti.
Oh my God!
Hissed Basil, flabbergasted.
Maud's grandfather has hundreds of books on Egyptology and Nefertiti, Akhenaten. We are told in these books that they were the great pharaohs of the 18th dynasty and were buried in luxurious tombs. Nothing was said about what you're telling me, though.
The warmth of Sargon's face began to fade.
You will never hear of this talked about on Earth, ever. Even if you did, you would be promptly silenced. Better to know and to keep your mouth closed, for the sake of maintaining the peace in your life.
Basil's mouth dropped open.
Why?
It is yet another story for another night.
Responded Sargon quickly.
When Maud's grandfather discovered our great sister's tomb and opened her coffin with his colleagues, Nefertiti's biological body was not inside, despite her coffin being sealed with gesso and wrapped in linen. Instead, they found the Erunasis Medallion. Nefertiti knew that the succeeding keeper of this Erunasis Medallion would be born upon Earth, and you are that keeper. That is why the Erunasis Medallion was left behind.
Sargon stared at Basil.
Why do you think you are the keeper of this medallion, son?
Was this a trick question?
Basil thought in his mind.
Because I have this Arisian blood?
Yes, you do. But you have the rarest Arisian blood.
Sargon acknowledged.
You too share the same bloodline as our High Lord Zavan.
Basil flinched.
Uncle, this is too much. This is just too much.
He pleaded, wiping his forehead anxiously.
I feel like I'm having a mind meltdown.
You have not even the faintest idea of what is to become of you.
Sargon nodded slowly, feeling great sympathy for Basil.
What you contain within that body of yours, the seed that is planted within you.
He paused for a moment.
It is a great responsibility, and now the time has come for you to know.
The more his uncle Sargon revealed these staggering truths, the less worthy Basil felt. He was convinced it was a mistake.
You know, Uncle,
Spoke Basil quietly.
I collect bottles for money. I have clothes with holes in them. I haven't been in school since I was 12, so just how could it possibly be me? How can I have all this you speak of? On this planet, I'm the scum of the earth. I'm an invalid in this society.
Do not ever let me hear you speak of yourself in such regard again.
A voice boomed throughout his head, so loud it was painful. Basil glared at his uncle.
Oh, that really hurt. I didn't know telepathy can inflict pain.
Sargon clenched his jaw.
Your perception of yourself is poor and weak.
He said frankly.
Do you truly believe that a bloodline would discriminate over such material pettiness like money and societal status? You are talking about frivolous, silly things that concern only the misguided of your planet Earth, forever lost within perpetual earthly games. You have something more, much more precious than anything of material worth.
He soberly assured, taking a sip of cognac.
1 in 50 billion entities of our universe has the Eurasian bloodline, and that is an inexact estimate. Indeed, that alone is an extraordinary number. In addition to this, you have the Erunasis Medallion, and that means not only do you have the key to Thailarandor, but it also means you have the bloodline of Lord Zavan. An entity with his bloodline is perhaps 1 in 200 trillion souls, and that is a modest estimate.
Basil suddenly felt nauseated.
I feel sick.
He murmured, slightly hyperventilating.
I think I'm going to throw up.
Take a deep breath, my dear nephew.
Sargon leaned over and put a comforting hand on his knee.
Do not trouble yourself with the detail.
Silently, Basil peeled himself from the sofa and staggered to the glass window, his legs trembling beneath him. He stood, peering out into the infinite darkness, staring up at the stars. He stood so close to the window that his breath fogged the glass. Meanwhile, Sargon sat back casually, slowly running his hand over his silky dark beard, staring at the stone pillar nearby. After a long moment of quiet, Basil sighed and turned over his shoulder.
So, what must I do, Uncle?
He tearfully whispered, fearing a mind explosion was imminent.
You go to bed, son,
Sargon replied, smiling calmly.
and get a good night's rest.
Yes, Uncle. I'm totally shattered.
Basil grinned at his uncle's witty response, lifting his spirits. Sargon rose to his feet and walked over to Basil, embracing him within his strong arms.
You are with your people now,
He whispered in Basil's ear.
and I am with you all the way.
Basil pulled away, wiping his exhausted tears.
I knew there was something very special about you, Uncle. From the moment I saw you,
He sniffled.
I felt it.
Sargon placed his hand on Basil's face affectionately.
I will walk you to your sleeping quarters. We will continue this some more tomorrow.
Thank you.
With a loving arm around Basil's shoulders, Sargon slowly escorted him toward the heavy wooden doors, leaving behind the orb and flames of the oil burner curling through the night air.